I got that. Yeah, heard them call me conscious. I ain't think about it honestly. My thoughts too deep to process, so I do this all unconsciously. Finally feeling God bless. Got 'em woke up dropping prophecy. Don't take it out of context. Just before, I swear they always sleep. Now they catch the message, yeah. Bet that every song is deep. It's levels in each concept, but I can't just never mono theme. I'm trying to lead this flock for the cause, not the following. People upon a partner, and I wonder why they drawn to me. Once upon a time, I thought to follow up a dream. Draw life about these lines, nothing twice about these schemes, and like thrice about these insights. What I write is like a blueprint for you to comprehend life. That's light, I reckon, make you shine. Never dim it down, even if you live surrounded where everybody vision clouded. Remember, staying down ain't quite as good as getting out. It said, remember, staying down ain't quite as, ay. If you believe, yeah. Many doubted it was hard for them to think. Somehow I'm finally getting out of that's it. Usually, yeah, they vision clouded, but as you can see by now, we finally getting out there, writing truth, spreading love. Tell me how you feel about it. Got this music from above, this how I know I'm getting out there, writing truth, spreading love. Tell me how you feel about it. Got this music from above, this how I.
What's up, Internet? Episode 51 with my pops. Not a whole lot to say here. Just make sure you check out the links in the show notes. And I hope you guys enjoy this. My pops is a trip. Not the most intelligent guest I've had on, but I love him anyway. Alright, y'all enjoy. Alright, I finally got pops here. We've been trying to do this since before Father's Day of this year. It's like August, 13th? And we finally made it happen. Pop said back in April that he had some things he wanted to say, that he enjoyed the podcast, and I want to hear what you want to say. I was surprised. First, I was surprised that you wanted to get on because I talk about like God and religion, and we never talked about that much growing up. And then I also talk about like politics and stuff that you don't like to talk about either.
Yeah, I keep a lot of that inside me. I mean, I think we're living in a crazy time right now, and what I mainly hear is the racist thing, and I'm not completely comfortable with it because the way I was raised and the times I was raised in, totally crazy, and I see a lot of it get reverted back to now.
You think it's better or worse?
No, I think it's probably worse, and it's sad because, I mean, when I was like, I guess I was in the 5th grade or something, and I brought a guy home one time, Walter Hightower, Cochise Hightower, I'll never forget it. He's a hell of an athlete, and my neighbors told my folks, don't bring this guy back. Don't bring him back. And my dad basically said, fuck you. My son knows what he knows good people when he sees them, and that's how it all started. But, I see it happen a lot nowadays, and it's based on the color of your skin. It's a joke. Yeah. But it's the time we're in. But I don't see that it's gotten any better. I really don't. I haven't seen it's gotten any better.
I feel like it has to a degree, but at the same time, it's like, I feel like there's less racists out there, but the racist people that are out there are digging in deeper, digging their heels in even more.
Well, yeah, and that's got a big part of it. The race card is a quick fix for a lot of it, and,
Yeah.
It's not that at all, but, I
heard a girl tell me one time when I was working at Wells Fargo, she said the reason that it always comes back to people judging each other based on race is because everybody wants to judge each other anyway, and you don't have to get to know people to judge them by their race. You can just look at them and judge them. And people are scared to even get to know each other, regardless of their color.
They don't try to.
People are out here just like, no matter who you are, they're scared to get to know each other. And so, if you can find something easy to judge people by, then they'll accept that.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. That and what you own.
Yeah, classism. I think that's more real. Like the racism thing is kind of like promoted almost in some circles, and it's real to the people that are truly racist. But on a cultural level, I feel like the racism thing is almost
Well, and
they push it in order to, it's like part of the divide and conquer strategy, you know. But whereas classism, they don't try to make the public aware of classism, you know. They hide that, but it's almost more obvious too.
yeah. Well, I've seen it both ways too, and I've seen blacks be real racist to a white
That's
group,
what I'm
you
saying.
know.
Everybody, no matter what race you are. That's
But
why biracial people are awesome, because
they see through it.
they see through all the bullshit.
Right. But yeah, so I don't see that it's gotten any better. But, you know, it's because they don't talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to learn from it. This shit about taking statues down, I thought was the biggest joke in the world. I mean, it's history. Learn from it.
Yeah, but do you think? I mean, I don't have a problem with them coming down, because I don't know. It's like,
Well, what I have a problem
losers.
with, what I have a problem with though, is they take them down and put others up, and the others are a direct opposite of why they took the others down, and that's where I have a problem. I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah, but I feel like no matter what statue is up, somebody's gonna find something to complain about.
So you do away with statues?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the
mean,
solution is. I just think that everybody takes everything personally. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's a lot of self-importance and resisting, like the same thing about resisting getting to know each other. It's like resisting coming together, which is pretty much what we have to do in order to, you know, stop chasing the dollar.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we're going to continue having to live
want one
like
history over the other. You can't want one
Yeah, but
history
I don't know. I
taken
think
down to show another part of the history.
Yeah, I agree
History
with
is
that.
history, and if
But no,
if
but
it's no
history-
good, then you live differently.
Yeah, but it's still a story. You know, it's a story. That story is part of the word history.
So why do you take it down?
Well, because
Learn from it.
it changes. The story itself can change.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with the whole. I think history is history, and if you don't learn from it, then you go. It's all in a circle, and so history will repeat itself if you don't learn from the past history.
There's something to that. I mean, that's how that's how evolution works, right? You learn from mistakes, and
You
then
hope.
and then
you
you
hope.
grow.
It's like, you know,
You
screw me
become
once,
something
shame
different.
on me. Screw me twice, shame on you. I mean,
Yeah, but at the same time, when it comes to like history, the way that we're told it in school, like that certainly has a slant on it, and there's definitely like falsehoods in that story.
Yeah.
I mean, there's theories that you know, Africans were here before Columbus, and that, you know, there's Pangea theories and Atlantis theories, Lemuria. I mean, there's all sorts of wild theories out there that are not mainstream when it comes to history. So,
You know, I just saw something the other day that surprised me. That, you know, when Lincoln freed the slaves, he still had black
well, he only did it
owners
in
of slaves
the North, yeah.
still.
Well, it only freed slaves in the South too. The Emancipation Proclamation.
I just.
But
think,
again, I don't know. Like when it comes to history, I feel like a lot of what we're told is either totally
Slanted?
fabricated or completely slanted.
Well, I just think that you don't take down history. You keep it up to remind people this wasn't good. Let's do something different.
Yeah, but that it doesn't feel like the most of the people that are upset about them taking it down, I feel, are coming from that angle, Dad. Most of the people that are upset about them taking it down are mad because they're glorifying the Confederacy. You know?
Well, I know what it did to home values on Monument Avenue.
And yeah, no, you're right. It dropped home values on Monument Avenue, and then not only that, then you got people,
What a beautiful ride it was.
investment firms buying up those homes, and you know, when the market's right, they'll resell them.
I guess. I don't know. I just hate to see history repeat itself, and I think that's what's happening. I think it's a divided nation that we live in right now, and
But I think it's even more than just divided. I think it's fragmented, like to the point where everybody's on their own island almost. You know, it goes back to again we were talking about people being scared to even talk to each other, meet each other, get to know each other. I think that's why racism is even able to exist because it's just an easy way to judge people. And people are just always looking for ways to judge others, put themselves above others in some way, shape, or form, rather
right.
than getting to know them and coming together and forming some sort of relationship where both people can benefit.
Sure, I agree with that. It's just, when I was a kid coming up, man, I saw it, and I'm seeing it now. And I think a lot of it has to do with that class structure part that you were talking about. I
Yeah,
mean,
tax brackets
what
themselves.
side of the railroad tracks were you born on? And these are nice homes. Arlington, Virginia is typical of that. Anything Green Valley was, you didn't want to go down to Green Valley, and it's,
Oh yeah.
I don't know, I still see it. I still see it.
No, there's one of the music artists that I've been listening to, Jelly Roll. He actually has a song called Train Tracks, talking about. I think grew up in Nashville. Maybe it was Knoxville, but he grew up in one of the cities like that in Tennessee. Literally talking about how it's one side of the train tracks is affluent and the other side is
Yeah.
impoverished.
Yeah, I see it all the time. But anyway, talk about it and don't
But I feel
judge.
like there's only a couple of ways to resolve it, and that is, well, I think one is encouraging people to just get to know each other for real. And this ain't like, I know it's an overstated quote, but like what Martin Luther King said was judge a person by his merit of his character rather than the color of his skin. And like, but in order to do that, you have to get to know the merit of their character. And that's harder to do than to just judge them without ever getting to know them,
Right. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But anyway, I mean, I think just people need to talk about it. Don't put it underneath the rug and hope one day it's going to change, because it's not going to change until people get out and talk about it. It's
yeah, but the way it needs to be talked about needs to be more personal too and less corporate, you know, with diversity, inclusion, and equality. Like that, that's bullshit because it's like, oh yeah, we want all these different skin colors, but you still have to think the way we think. Like there's no diversity of thought, there's no diversity of lifestyle, there's no diversity of culture.
Yeah.
It's all these colors that are living the corporate culture, the corporate lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a way it has to be done too, because the way it's being done with that corporate bullshit, that's not real diversity. That's not real inclusion.
Yeah. And when you're discussing things like the top echelon of the government, they need to be a little bit more transparent as far as what they're doing to change things. And
Yeah,
I don't see
that's
that
never going to
happening.
change.
Yeah, I don't
That's
see that
never going to
happening.
change. I don't think. I think we have to change as a people because the more we accept it, the more they're able to do what they do.
Yeah. 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 But I saw when you had the balancing act. I like that. It's like
What do you mean?
you see both sides of the picture, or you talk about both sides of the picture.
Oh yeah.
I see it with friends of mine that I work with now. I mean, they say, "No, that's not the way it happens," and I'm like, "Sure it is." And I just know how it always happened with me. I
Right.
didn't know how it happened with them.
Yeah, everybody's got a story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's one thing I try to get out of people is the like real stories that influence their life. Like your story with Walter. What was his name? Hightower or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that was real too. And we were playing basketball at a outdoor court down in North Arlington. And that was the same time they were trying to burn DC down. And we're playing basketball, and there's like probably 12 of us down there, 3 teams of 4, winter stayed on the court. It was fun. Wasn't much of a basketball player, but I mean, it was fun. I had my best friends down there, and all of a sudden we hear this awful racket coming down the hill, and it was a friggin' Ku Klux Klan on horseback, and it's like, what the? Of course, three of my buddies, Ray Courtney, Kenny Dabney, I don't know, can't think of it, maybe Joey Royster, anyway, those three guys were black, and they were scared, and I can't tell you, I was scared too. I didn't know what the hell was going to go on. So that was different times, and we just screw the basketball. Let's go to Mario's Pizza House and eat some pizza. It was different. But like I said, I don't really see where it's changed a whole lot. No, I put a lot of it on.
I mean, is the Ku Klux Klan marching in the street though? They're not marching in D.C. I don't think. Maybe in some southern.
No, but they're not afraid
areas.
to. They're not afraid to.
Yeah.
There's some ballsy guys. And I don't know, man. It's just it's different, and like I said, I don't see it has gotten a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, I feel like there's a less number of racists, but I feel like the ones that still are even more racists. Like as far as the degree of racism.
Yeah.
They dug their heels in.
But it's a learned thing. I mean, it's happening at home.
No doubt. Babies aren't racist.
Well, the whole problem with our society now is there's no discipline from home. So, they try to get away with as much as they can, and they get it to a point, and then they back off a little bit. But it's the same thing. I've heard school teachers tell me that it's a joke because their hands are tied. They can't discipline. Like, I remember times, man, when I was in high school, seeing a buddy of mine getting pulled by his ear down the hallway, and he didn't do it again in their classroom because he knew he was going to John, or whatever name, Mr. Durham's office, and he's going to get a paddle upside his ass. And
yeah, but I don't know that that's right either.
Well,
I think there's a balance to that too. I think we're definitely coddling kids today, but I don't know that whooping their ass is the solution.
Well, it doesn't happen as often. I mean,
what do you mean?
They, all it took was one paddling by Mr. Durham, and this guy didn't screw up like he did in class.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a learned behavior. I don't know. There's no discipline. It all starts at home. And when they don't get what they want, they go out and they do things that.
I think you whooped my ass one time though.
That's all I had to, man, because you were a smart kid. I mean, I think I slapped you in the butt one time, but I think it was my tone of voice more than that. But you're not doing right. What do you gotta? I'm not saying that the adults are always 100%.
Yeah.
Because they're definitely not. But, you can't let kids run over. I mean, this bullying stuff that happens in school nowadays.
No, I agree.
That's all.
Some kids probably do need an ass whooping. And but again, there's a balance to it. You don't want to make it the norm to whoop your kid's ass again because there's problems with that too.
You don't want to make it a norm, but if you do it at the right time, one time, you don't have to do it again.
Yeah.
Because if the kid's smart, he's going to know what's happening. He's knows what's coming.
Right.
I mean, you look at the television shows that are on from way back in the day, and you get a lot of life's lessons. Andy Griffith show is perfect. I mean,
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Back in the day, I'm telling you, back in the day, it was, you learn, and you learn quick. If you didn't, you're getting another ass whipping. I mean, I got to tell you, I think it works.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Because I feel like that creates a lot of post-traumatic stress and all that type of shit. You don't think so?
So it's the broke culture or the woke culture.
No, I think there's a balance to that too, because I do agree that if you coddle them, then you end up with what's going on today. So there is a balance to be had. I think discipline. When you said tone of voice, I think that's a big factor. You should be able to yell at your kid. You should be able to
But if that doesn't work, what do you
emphatically
do? What
let
do you
them
do
know.
then?
Yeah, no, I
You know,
know.
there's got to be something to
At
come
some
out.
point, you should be allowed to.
No, there should be a result that's favorable. You know,
As far as like a behavior change.
yeah, because I mean that's what's happening in schools nowadays. There's no discipline, and you know you're not taking guns away from people. But back when I was coming up, if you had a beef with somebody, you fought, but not with guns. You know, you fought with your fist, and it's different nowadays. They want to settle everything with guns, and I think that comes from home. I mean, I don't know. I tell you, there's got to be a change somewhere along the line that our
Yeah,
country's
things are
going
always
in.
changing. I think the reason that it's the way it is that's an overreaction to over disciplining is under disciplining. That's an overreaction, you know? It's like there's got to be a balance of being able to communicate what you want to communicate without resorting to hitting somebody. Now, don't get me wrong, maybe it is a last resort. I think it has to be. I think history shows that it's going to be whether we want it to be or not. But I think we have to try to create as many in between options as possible that are effective.
Yeah, I don't think
Not
physical abuse is an answer to anything.
right.
But when it gets down to that, if that's the last thing that's going to make them understand right and wrong, I'm all for it. I mean, schools can't do it, so it's got to happen at home where the behavior changes. If they bring it to the school, you're not helping
I
anybody.
think another factor in all of this is just letting the kids go play with other kids in the community or in the area or whatever. Just letting the need for, they call it helicopter parenting. Helicopter parenting is like not allowing your child pretty much out of your sight ever, you know. And I see that as an issue. You know,
Yeah. Well,
you gotta let them grow up and
I don't know.
almost
Something needs to change in
other
this
kids
country.
used to keep other kids in check even more than parents used to keep kids in check, I feel like. But now kids, rather than being kept in
They
check
jump
by
on a side
actually,
or something.
well, no, I think it's the internet. You know, they're on their
Well,
computer or on their phone rather than out playing with their friends and getting kept in check by their friends and learning life lessons with their friends out in the woods. Or you know, I think it's just that change has been more of a negative effect on our youth than not hitting our kid. I don't think that. I think it's more like the internet and just helicopter parenting in general and overprotecting them in general.
yeah. Well, before we had cell phones,
Right, exactly.
every move's got to be.
Tracked.
It's a joke. And social media's got a lot to
And I
play
think
with.
that hurts kids' mental health growing up too.
Oh yeah,
Like never having the freedom to make mistakes and learn
yeah,
from those mistakes, you know.
right.
Being
And everything has to happen like this. You know, it's like instant gratification, or
mhm.
you know. And I remember when it was time for me to come in, it was when it was dark. You couldn't see the ball anymore. And now they're out at all hours of the night, and there's no
No, I don't think they're out
control.
at all. I don't think most kids are out at all.
Well, they don't go out to begin with. They don't even go out in the afternoon to throw a ball against the steps and let the ball pop back to them. Well, they're inside on a computer playing their computerized games or on Facebook or Instagram, whatever. It's just there's no true recreation time. They don't get outside and do things. And I think that's got a lot to do with it too.
Yep. not getting outside. What do you think about mine that I wanted to bring up? Oh yeah, the internet in general. How do you think the internet has changed culture, society?
Oh, I think it's been terrible. I really do.
Yeah.
I think it's ridiculous.
Why?
Because it's the instant gratification part of it, or the instant, I'm going to take a shit, so let me put it on Facebook. It's like, what? And so
Yeah, but it's a tool. I think we're learning how to work with it or how to use it.
well, I hope so. I hope.
It's like a technology in its immature state.
I think people let people know they're out of town, and the first place the people who are going to break into your house go are the people that you just told that you're out of town. It's funny that you asked that, because your grandfather, my pop, before, when he was on his dying bed, told me, he says, "Son, there's going to be three things that bring this country down," and he said, "Computers, lawyers, and judges. And don't think lawyers and judges are the same thing, because they're not." And since he passed, he sure as hell's been right, because I've experienced it all.
I don't know.
It's sad.
I don't know.
It's sad. Oh yeah, I do know. I
don't know about that.
And the computer is going to bring this country, this world to its knees. If a business gets struck by lightning, like up there at the gas station and the fast food places up here at Route.
So you think we're dependent on the internet? Our dependency is what's terrible.
If it's down.
No, I agree. I actually agree with you on that. I think our dependency on the internet is not a good thing, but at the same time, I don't see it as a fully bad thing. But I do think we need to still learn how to live without it.
I just think it's funny, if I go online and I'm looking for golf shorts, and the next 3 or 4 days, 7 days, 10 days, whatever, I've got so many ads to come buy some golf shorts.
No, that's for sure. That's because the algorithms are tracking every move you make online and trying to build a profile of you to know how to sell to you. And yeah, I think it's the result of a hyper consumer culture. Instead of valuing our relationships with each other, we value how much stuff we can buy. And so then the algorithms are designed to figure out a way to how to sell more to you.
But it's crazy how the eye in the sky knows exactly what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And it goes back to what Pop said. He goes, "Hey man, it's going to bring it down." And I've seen corrupt lawyers, corrupt judges,
corrupt bankers too, though.
True.
Just corrupt.
True that.
Corrupt official, corporate and government in bed type stuff,
Yeah, I don't know. I tell you what, it's scary though. I think about Tej growing up, and it's like, it's not really what I want him to have to come up with.
Yeah, no,
it's only going to get worse.
There's a lot of agreements out here that are not good agreements. I feel like that's why part of what I am trying to accomplish with this podcast is just getting people to examine what agreements they're making, because, dependency on the internet, dependency on.
Well, you're signing up with the devil. I think. I think that's what you're doing when you. I don't
know about that.
Yeah, man.
I think that's hyperbolic, but.
Well, I can tell you the computer is a wicked thing.
Yeah.
Facebook.
You think artificial intelligence just as a whole?
I think so, yeah. You look at the people that are going to be without jobs before long, because everything's going automation. They're already trying to do it everywhere you go. It's self-checkout.
Is that really going to be the worst thing in the world, though, that people aren't going to have to work?
I don't think it's going to help. What are people going to do for income? to put food on the table for their family.
I think farming needs to become another thing again. You know,
Farming's
not having
so
to worry
big
about
now, but that's even going
income.
automated.
No, I mean like home farming needs to become a thing.
Well, I think so
again.
too. I think it's like
And
I
like-
saw something on the internet today about, you know, this.
And community gardens too, like people coming together to feed each other.
Yeah.
Community meals.
And I've seen
potlucks.
some of those pop up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's the same people working the garden every day. It's not. People think that, well, they get a free handout. The free handout thing is.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's a good thing that if people lose their jobs and the welfare state crumbles and all this shit crumbles.
Well, that's
kinda
why
has
it
to.
goes back to
People will start,
this
figuring out what's
universal
real.
basic income or what it was.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Well, as long as you do away with food stamps
And everything else. Yeah, no, well, that's what Andrew Yang said was the way that he would have it set up is such that you could either get the $1,000 or whatever the amount they decide on is a month, free and clear, or you can continue to get your welfare benefits. You can't get both.
Yeah. Well, I think you've got the freebies is long gone. You can't keep getting something for nothing.
I don't know, man. I don't have the answer to all that.
Well, I think that's a good idea. I think if you can eliminate food stamps and
Is
Yeah,
that
the
bad?
thing that-
I don't
the thing
know.
that-
I think
the thi-
I think that's not as bad as I think you need to eliminate corporate bonuses and people want to get mad at like people who are taking advantage of the system at a welfare level, and don't get me wrong, there's something to that, but what about getting mad at the people that are taking society for millions and billions? They don't ever get
no.
there's no recourse for them, and those millions and billions could take care of the welfare issue, the welfare fraud issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of that too. There's a lot
White
of that
collar
going
crime.
on. Yeah. But I got to tell you,
Insurance fraud.
yeah, a lot of that. That's why insurance is so high now,
Mm-hmm.
and whose pockets are getting lined from all this insurance fraud is the lawyers,
Yeah.
and eventually it trickles to the judges. And I tell you, the more I think about it every day, Pops was right, man. Pops
Yeah,
was
but
right.
I'm more optimistic than that. I don't think we're gonna get. I think the human spirit is too strong to get brought down. I think we are gonna come together and.
Well,
I
I
think
hope you're right.
I think
hope
you're right as far as the internet. Like the internet might not be here one day. You know, the whole technical infrastructure might implode on itself. But
That wouldn't hurt my feelings at all. And I think cell phones have got to go.
well, that would
What's
be
wrong
part
with
of
the
that.
landline, and
Well, no, I
if you're
don't.
not home, it goes to an answer machine. Call it back when you get home. But as long as you got that phone with you all, I have a big problem at work. Guys always want to stay on the phone the whole time.
That's everybody. We're all addicted to our phone.
And
You're always on there betting on horses and watching horse races.
yeah,
I'm always on. I'm guilty of it as anybody. I think we are all addicted because the algorithms figure out ways to make us want to be on it more. It's a psychological / technological / spiritual battle conflict.
well, I say let's go back to the olden days.
You think it was better?
Oh, hell yeah, man. I had such a great childhood. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's sad nowadays, I think. There's no family structure. I got to tell you, I think the technological revolution has ruined us. I really believe that. And it only gets better every day, so they say.
What do you mean?
It's faster.
Faster, and yeah.
And they can do more.
Yeah.
But somewhere along the line, there's going to put a lot of people out of work. These self-driving tractor trailer rigs and everything else. I don't know.
Yeah, Andrew Yang talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, I tell you, that's a brilliant guy. I didn't do a whole
Yeah,
lot.
but I don't know. I think he's too into the blockchain. He's too tied into the tech bros and Google and all that. I think he has some good ideas that I think we can adopt, especially when it comes to like UBI. I'm more into. I've learned about gift economy. Basing off of like the indigenous. The way their economy worked, they didn't have money. But everybody knew everybody in the tribe. So that was
Because you traded stuff. If I'm growing corn
with other tribes maybe, but
but
I'm talking about inter-tribe, not across tribes. Within the tribe, just the fact that you knew each other so well, you know, that's part of like growing up in Middlesex. The reason I feel an appeal to this type of lifestyle is like their lifestyle was such that the richest person in their eyes was the person who had given the most over the course of their life. So that your ability to give is what made you rich. And then your status is what made you rich, and your status was based on how much you gave. And so that was like the way that the tribe stayed bonded, is everybody always wanted to give more to each other, because the more you gave, the more status you had as somebody that had given something.
Right.
So the more deer you kill
I'm
give it away,
open
the
for
more
that.
you grow and give it away, then you're looked at as somebody, I want to give to him because that's the one that's been given the most to the tribe,
Yeah.
And not only that, that's the type of person that's going to give whatever excess back to the rest of the people, So,
Yeah.
I don't know. We got
I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that. I just think that we got to get back to the old ways.
Like what? I think when you say old ways, you're talking like the 40s and 50s. I'm talking like indigenous, and what civilization calls primitive. Even the language game is set up. They call it prehistory and primitive people, but it's not like history wasn't happening. Things were happening. They just don't. It's not part of our culture's history. They don't want us to talk about it.
You didn't hear about it a half hour after it happened.
What do you mean?
I mean,
oh, you're talking about
so quick.
And the information about things. With Facebook and social media and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if you missed the Sunday 6 o'clock news, you didn't hear about it until Monday evening's news. Now they have news on at 4 o'clock in the morning that lasts till 7.
With the internet, you can just check the phone, your Google News anytime you want.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the answers. I just know things need to change. And
I agree with that. But I think it's changing all the time, and I think...
You think it's changing for the better?
Not necessarily, but at the same time, the worse it gets, the more obvious the problems become, the more people are going to want to solve them.
Well, I hope you're right.
I always do my best to be optimistic about things. But yeah, I definitely see, in this little speck of time, things are definitely getting worse. But, I think because of that, they'll get better after that, Just got to keep pushing.
Yeah.
What do you think about the nature of reality? Why we're here? As humanity, and then as individuals. Come back a little bit. So you're not in the frame enough.
You want to make things better for everybody instead of tearing people down,
How do you do that?
Communication.
Yeah.
Communication. You have to have I've got a friend of mine that I went to high school with that is running for Congress. And I'm thinking to myself, man, you're nuts.
I'm thinking that too.
He was a retired naval officer, and he did really well. And he wants to get involved because he sees what's happening. He's got grandchildren and children that he wants to pass along a better way of life. And I think that's admirable, number one. But I think everybody needs to feel that way, and I don't think that happens now.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
You know, I think there's.
I think the system is too corrupt to fix. I think it's got to implode.
I think that would be a good thing for it to happen. I mean, I think it needs to implode before.
The question is the technological infrastructure going to implode? Because the political infrastructure is going to implode. And a lot of the social structures are going to implode. That's clear. It seems clear. But the question is the internet going to implode? I don't know. I don't know about that one.
Yeah,
it's either gonna drive the changes for better, or it's gonna implode. Because if it continues to go on the route it's going on, it's gonna implode. But it seems like it has the power to change itself, to reroute what it's trying to get. You know, the input output, the algorithm. You know, so to speak. Its desire. It seems like it's almost alive. You think the internet is alive? David Bowie said the internet is an alien life form before he died. Do you think that? Or do you just think it's a super intelligent tool?
I think it's a super intelligent tool.
I think it was, but I think it's come alive. It's gotten so smart that it's like auto-learning.
What do you think needs to happen? What do you think needs to happen? I mean...
With what?
With the internet.
I think it's alive. I think we have to treat it like it's a living thing almost at this point.
Well, I think it needs to die.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A lot of people feel the same way you do.
I think it does. I think it...
But I think it's almost more powerful than us. So, like, by thinking that, then it's going to work against you. So you kind of almost, like, have to work with it. And maybe you can secretly hope it still implodes on itself eventually, but you kind of have to work with it and try to adjust it for what you can, I think, for now.
I just hope, it doesn't create, like I said, the lost jobs. I don't know. I tell you, it's a crazy way of thinking now.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I think we just need to shift the way our jobs work, and we need to shift the way we think about work too. Again, what if all those people that lose their jobs began farming and hunting and creating community centers for potluck dinners for the poor, and
I just think that there'll be people that hunt and fish and do that for more money, more power. I mean, I don't know if they're going to help people.
Right.
Because I think our community standards are so low right now.
Yeah.
That people don't look at...
No, that's a good point.
Trying to help people. They want to help themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a greed grab.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's the only thing I think that's what's going to bring it down.
Yeah, I think the way that people operate is the biggest problem, not the internet, not the government. I think the way that people operate, our lifestyle, our cultural lifestyle, not necessarily people. I don't think it's a human problem. I think our culture, and when I say our culture, I mean 99% of the world, because we've killed off most of the indigenous people that were living tribally, But we have a lot to learn from them, I feel like.
Yeah. I think it goes back to what you were talking about before. If you work as a tribe,
yeah,
and everybody's tight.
If everybody together is working toward the same goal, that's a lot more powerful than one person working toward that goal.
You got a mechanic that can work on your car, and so you take care of him with corn or beef or something.
deer that I killed.
whatever. Yeah,
I'm out
but
bow
it's
hunting while
but
he's
it's
fixing my car
it's
or
like,
whatever.
yeah, but it's like yeah. I mean, I think we got to get back to that.
To where there's just no money at all.
I'm good with that. I
Yeah.
think everything is a barter system, you know, where you do this for me, I'm going to do this for you. And I don't know, I think people would get along better.
I think cars would have to go too for that to even happen though. Because if you have cars, then you can move too quickly away from your tribe at any given point in time. You know?
Yeah, but if you want to give that up,
I think you kind of have to.
no, I don't know. I tell you, I think the farming thing, I think get back to where you don't have to worry about a grocery store.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You raise your own vegetables, you kill for your beef.
You have a butcher, maybe like a local butcher and like a local farm
You don't pay him.
guild.
You pay him with the vegetables you raise,
Or by doing something for him, some sort of service that he needs done.
plumber.
Anything.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I think we got to get back to that. We can't keep destroying what was built up. But
You sound pessimistic about everything though.
yeah, well, I'm old. I'm old, and I don't agree with everything that goes on nowadays. But yeah, I hope we can get back to where people look out for each other again. You know, it's gotten away from that. Everybody wants to. It's the greed thing, man. Everybody wants to have it all and don't give a shit about you because you're down here. And yeah, so yeah, I just want what's right for you and my grandson. I want things
What
to
do
be
you like?
better.
What do you like? All right,
I want
I'm
things to
switch
be
gears a
better.
little bit. Not really, not too much, but you said you wanted to come on the podcast because you liked the podcast. What do you like about the podcast?
I do that. You talk about things that are need to be talked with everybody, not just you and whoever's on. They need to have open communication all the time, and that's what I think. I think people need to. There needs to be an open communication between everybody. So you talk things out before
You got to learn where you're coming from in order to
where you're going to go.
right.
Um,
And in order to evaluate, like you can't, I don't. The word judge and the word evaluate are like they have a slightly different meaning to me because judgment is like has a negative slant, but you do have to evaluate like another person's energy or their goals or like their intentions. You do have to have an evaluation to see whether or not you want to work with them toward a goal, or if they have different goals than you, then you just kind of you can respect that and let them be, but you're not going to invest your time and energy to try to grow together or cultivate a relationship with them as much if they have totally different goals and totally different energy about them. But for somebody that does, then you will want that to cultivate a relationship. But in order for that to even happen, like you talk about, communication needs to be there.
you can't have the greed thing. I think greed is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, why?
Because,
like desires beyond your needs.
I want this so I can screw this guy.
Oh yeah, so you're talking about. Yeah, I actually talk about that a lot when I talk about ego because I feel like there's nothing wrong with having an ego as long as you're trying to lift other people up to what, I feel great about myself. I want other people to feel as great about themselves as I do. But there's also the type of ego where it's like you step on others in order to feel better about yourself. And I think that's like disgusting
and I think
despicable.
That's what's more prevalent in our society now.
That's what you're calling greed.
Yeah. Yeah, because
The
man,
desire
this guy
to be
well, it's
better
like the
than other people at
CEOs. You're talking
everything, and
about bonuses for Dominion Power,
and
or
having more power than other people, or whatever,
and
more
they
resources.
don't need to know where their next dollar's coming from. They've got it. They don't give a shit about you, me, or anybody else that's on the lower tier.
Right? They're
They
looking to
got
buy their next
theirs. They
yacht,
got theirs, and they're good.
trying to get a yacht.
Yeah, catch 23. Me and MJ. Yeah, yeah. Now I'm trying to get a boat.
No, I'm saying, but those people, rather than like investing their money back into their community, they
You
don't
know,
trust
they're
their
not.
community, so they'd rather
No.
get a yacht.
Yeah, they're not. No. And and they're not doing it. I mean, they want to get all they can get, and they don't give a shit about the next guy.
Yeah.
And
And I also feel like they feel that if they give something to somebody, that somebody is just going to take it and not do anything with it. You know? Like they don't want to feel taken advantage of. They don't want to feel like they're giving to a worthless cause.
well, and I can understand that. I mean, listen, I'm all for making what you can make, but I'm not all for making all you can make and then shitting on the guy next to you because he's down on his luck, or not down on his luck, but not doing something for the community. I mean, I remember back in the day when I still don't have a pot to piss in, but when I started,
I think you grew up pretty okay.
I did grow up because of what my dad did,
Right.
and what my mom
Allowed him to do.
allowed us to be able to have. But I remember when I first started in business, the first thing I did, probably the second week I was in business with my store, is I called a buddy of mine and said, "Hey man, I want to sponsor a basketball team." And I did it because they needed a couple sponsors, but it allowed the kids to have fun and maybe uh, learn about basketball or camaraderie or just life. And they weren't going to be able to do it because they couldn't afford their $20 sign up thing or whatever, and I'm not saying that I made a difference, but I would like to think I did. I would like to think that.
I think you made more of a difference by being a coach than you did.
Yeah, your
Sponsorship.
time is valuable though.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't. I just think that there's not enough people out there that'll volunteer their time to make sure kids have a good way of learning competition. And I mean, that it ain't happening. It ain't happening like it used to.
Right.
And that, I think, goes a long ways. I've still got kids that come up to me, 20 years later, and call me coach. And I think that's, man, what a great feeling that is, because I took the time, not necessarily the money, but like you said, the time
It's a lot more valuable, man, especially to kids.
But anyway, yeah. So anyway, but I just don't think there's enough of that nowadays. There's not enough people that take their time or give a little bit. These guys, they got money. They're retiring or whatever at 40 years of age, but they don't do anything with today's youth, and I think it's a joke. I think today's youth is our future, and and I don't know. I've seen a lot of it. I've seen a lot of it back when I was a kid and wanted to play ball, and Fortunately, my parents could afford it. It was not a problem for me, but I saw kids that wanted to play ball that couldn't play ball because their folks weren't going to give $15 to sign him up.
Or have the time to take them to practice in
Right.
games. Yeah.
Right. So there you have it. I think, and it always goes back to
But
the
there's always
family.
a solution, and I feel like the solutions to a lot of the problems that we face as communities, as families, as individuals, as a region, as a nation, it comes down to our lack of ability to organize, and that is rooted in our lack of ability to communicate or get to know each other, or to know each
Organization is
other's
number
stories,
one.
where
Yeah.
people are coming from. We don't even show interest in each other. We're scared. Everybody's scared of each other.
Nobody wants to talk.
Yeah.
It all comes down to communication.
And I feel like a lot of that is due to listening to what the television's telling us about how everybody's so scary.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll be honest with you.
It seems like to me the world is a lot scarier when you're watching the news than when you're out in the world. The world does not seem nearly as scary when I'm out in it as it does when I'm watching the news. The news literally just brings out the worst in society, you know?
Yeah, that's why a lot of people don't even watch the news anymore.
I don't.
Well, they don't believe it to begin with.
I
That's
don't
the
either.
problem. You
Yeah.
know, so and
there's no reason to believe it until they start telling the truth.
I've
and
lost
talking about real shit.
I've lost a lot of friends in the last couple of years. Not a lot of friends, but I've lost a few friends because of the pandemic and what they hold to be true and what they don't believe or what they do believe is. It's just, you know,
You mean like people that say if you don't take the vaccine, you're not a person, basically?
Yeah.
You got it though, right? You just didn't get your boosters.
I've gotten everything I was supposed to get.
Damn, so you got it like 4 jabs.
I've gotten 3.
Jesus Christ.
And
still got
because
COVID.
I did it when you were a kid, and when I was a kid.
What do you
to
mean?
go to school, you had to get vaccinations
against, I know.
against chicken pox or whatever it was, you know. Thank God I hadn't got to get a monkeypox thing yet, you know. But no, hey, listen, I did it. But I just think, hey, number one, I believe it's everybody's individual choice. If they don't want to get it, don't get it. Don't get it. I strongly believe in that.
Why are you losing friends? What do you mean?
Well, because it got so political. And number one, I'm not a political person. The only time I've spoke up a few times was I had enough. I'm not going to listen to this bullshit anymore. Hey, that's your opinion. You're welcome at it. But don't throw your opinion and make me accept your opinion.
Right.
And I lost friends over that. And I think a lot of it was politics.
Yeah.
You know, and
but you never really seemed like you were a Trump supporter.
No. I wasn't a Hillary supporter.
Right.
No, I don't put my views against, I'm not going to shove it down your throat. Don't shove it down my throat. That's the way I feel. And, listen, I've never really aligned myself with either political party.
You never talked about politics much
independent
growing up.
As far, I listen to a person and I'll vote for you based on what you're saying.
I don't ever vote for president. The only time I ever voted was for Dave Bratt. I knew him personally.
Yeah. I don't know. I've always voted because
and that's kind of what I'm talking about with what I was talking about earlier with the podcast. You know, everybody's worshiping people, voting for people they don't even know.
No. They
The only
don't even
time I
listen to
ever
what they
voted in
say.
my life.
They listen to what everybody else says.
No, they listen to what the politicians say too. But why should you believe anything that they're saying?
But if I look up to him and he's voting this way, I'm going to vote that way. That's bullshit, man. I mean,
Are you talking about like celebrity endorsements?
yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
And
No, it's
I
a
don't.
celebrity culture, and politicians are celebrities themselves in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I'm just not.
No, I'm not down with that shit either. That's why I said the only time I ever
I
voted.
didn't understand a lot of what Andrew Yang was about before, and I
I'm
believe when
not
I
a
got
fan of
to
Yang anymore.
well, when I got to checking into it, he's a brilliant man.
I agree with him like 90% of the time, but there's the 10% I don't. I'm pretty staunchly disagree. I think he's very like pro blockchain. What do you think about money? What do you think about crypto?
I don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
I know that I've listened to what you said, and I know that you've done well on a few of them.
Yeah, I think currency is the distraction, though. I think the blockchain
I don't.
is not
I don't
good.
make enough money to invest in a lot of that. I try to live day to day the way I want to live. But yeah, no, I hope it does well.
Why?
I hope it does well because it's an alternative source. I think once the world gets used to a form of currency, it goes back to the bartering part.
Yeah, I'm not a huge crypto fan, but if it gets people to think differently about money, I'm good with that. People do need to think differently about money, and I do. That's the one thing about crypto that I like is it's forced people to think differently about money.
I think if enough of it starts going where people can pay with it.
Yeah, I think you can though in a lot of cases.
Well, I think it's more now than ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't know how it's going to end up, but I think you have to have an alternative source
to dollars and like nationalistic currencies,
pesos, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I'll never forget the time that we went to.
But I mean, isn't that kind of? But you were saying how much you hated technology earlier. I feel like that's a little bit of an oxymoron to be like you're rooting for crypto, but like rooting against the internet because they kind of go hand in hand.
No, I don't agree with that.
No, they definitely do. You can't even have crypto without the internet.
Yeah, but it's an alternative source. I think if it's going to become mainstream, it's going to be off the internet.
So you think the internet? No, it'll be on the internet. It still has to. Yeah, it runs on the internet.
Yeah, but but I think you'll be able to buy crypto without the internet.
No.
No?
No, you'll never be able to do that.
Well, then maybe I am. I thought you'd be able to buy crypto without having the internet.
No.
If you can't
what it is essentially is an algorithm. What you own when you own a Bitcoin is you own a particular algorithm that has a certain hash key.
I don't know enough about it. But I'll tell you this. There's got to be another form of currency, whether it be crypto or whatever. There's got to be, because
I think there already is. It's just we haven't been using it, and the indigenous are the ones that can teach us how to do that.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, because I'm not a big proponent of the internet. It's just not me. I think it's taken too many people down.
People get addicted to it. They live their whole lives on it rather than living their life in life, you know. But, I mean, at the same time, I'm using it as a tool to try to get certain messages out, even if they are, I don't want to say they're anti-internet. I think the internet could be a good thing, but it has to change its intention. It has to change, like, the way it's programmed to operate. You know, right now I feel like the way it's programmed to operate is to keep people distracted, you know, rather than to enhance people's lives.
No, I think it definitely distracts people.
Right.
Because they're not doing anything else but being on the internet.
Right. If it could enhance your life as far as actual living your life out in the real world, that's a different way of using it versus
being on it or in it all the time, you know?
All the time.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the answers to that. I just think it's important to talk about because it's a frontier, you know? We're in a different age of humanity.
You got that right. This is a George Jetson.
Yeah, no kidding. You know, I saw a meme going around that said somebody's about to give birth to George Jetson. If you look up George Jetson on Wikipedia, it has his birth date as like July 31st, 2022. Something like that, you know? So we are legitimately entering.
And then you got Elmo and
the robot.
Judy and...
What was the robot's name? The cleaning robot?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Back in the day.
So anything else you want to talk about? I got some questions for you. What's some stories you got from childhood or your 20s that you would want to share with the internet that you think could help the youth or just anybody really? Just a good story to share.
Well, you know, those were great days. I mean, back in the early 70s, I learned a lot. I learned about racism. Yeah, it was just...
You were moving up and down the East Coast pretty much, right?
I moved... I think somebody asked me how many schools I went to, and I think it ended up being like, out of 12 years, I was in like 9 schools. So it was different, yeah. But I look back at it now, and I made some lifelong friends that I still keep in contact with. Yeah, I mean, that's what it's about. I've still got some tremendous friends that in the 5th and 6th grade, man, I made some friends that were incredible. And they're good people. And believe it or not, they think a lot like I do, you know. They're over this internet shit, you know. But I mean, it's yeah. Back in the day, it was a whole lot more fun, man. I mean, catching lightning bugs in a mason jar and then hit the curb and jar goes into your hand. Yeah, I'll never forget that, you know.
All right,
they don't do that shit anymore. I mean, you don't even find kids that go outside in the evenings when it's at dusk.
Yeah. What about a good story, though? Didn't you say you were like picking mushrooms with a buddy one time down in Georgia?
In Georgia, yeah. And we went to Albany Junior College, and
was that the first time you ever did mushrooms, or you knew about it because you had done it before?
I had done them before. A lot of fun. And then this guy from Philly that went to this junior college with me, his father was stationed in Albany, Georgia, along with my dad. And
camera shy.
and he had told me, he says, "Hey, there's that field across from the school there. I think we can get some mushrooms." And I was like, "Really?" Yeah, Steve Scarfoni, classic guy, looked like Danny from Grease with the black leather jacket and his shirt unbuttoned to about his navel. Super nice guy, though. He could talk the yeah. And so he says, "Yeah, let's do that." And I was like, "Yeah, we'll do that." So I drive over across the street and I park, and Steve gets out and he jumps over this fence. And man, it was no time later. I looked out and he's hauling ass. And I mean, I'm like, damn, this dude is flying. Never seen a white boy move so fast. And he went head over that fence, and it was a bull chasing him. It was the craziest shit you ever seen in your life. But he had a bag full of mushrooms, and they were good. But yeah, one story I used to love to tell was Ricky Smith and Lou Jones. Lou's the father of my nieces and nephew, and Lou became the sheriff. But back when we were in high school, Lou had this yellow Opal GT, and he would dog this thing. He could drive, but he would dog it, and I'd scared to death, when we were coming around a turn. Rosegill was Thanksgiving night, probably about 1972, 73. Did a 360 and ended up backwards up top this little hill there, and I think I might have pissed in my pants. I don't know what. Anyway, I looked at him and he was laughing. And we come to a stop, and he's laughing. I was like, "Get me
Lou
the
or
hell
Ricky?
Lou was laughing, and I said, "Get me the hell this." Oh man, that was fun. Let's do that again. I was like, "No, I don't think so." But what I was going to tell you is we were ice skating on a lake on. It was Townbridge Road, Townbridge Lake, and we were ice skating. Back in the day, we did some crazy stuff, but I'll never forget, Lou took off, and he was all back in these coves and all, and Smith, he was kind of like out in the middle. He was funny as hell, but I would stay like where it was shallow. It was supposed to be really frozen, good. But all of a sudden, the most wicked sound ever came out, and it was the ice cracking. And I seen Lou, he was flying. He looked like Eric Hyden, that damn Olympic skater. He was flying, man. He got about 25 foot from the shore, and he just dove, and he slid, and his belly slid right up on the beach. And Smith, he was still out there, and he's looking at Lou like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he, all of a sudden, the sound hit him, and here he came running. And by that time, I'm sitting on the shore, and I was like, "Damn, dude, y'all, look, god damn!" And Smith, he got about a quarter way from the shore, and he just went straight down the hole. But he was only up about to his knees, but he couldn't get out because he had them skates on. I never laughed so hard in my life, but that's a bad sound when ice starts cracking.
Out on a lake or a pond.
That is a terrible sound. But I'll never forget Lou Jones, man. He looked like Trey Turner sliding in the home plate. So whoa! I was like, what? But I was like, damn, he was quick. Anyway, they were good. They were good. But the one thing about Smith that I'll never, and I've told you these stories before, but he was the biggest class clown. And I was at Middlesex High School. This was back in 72, 73, and had a teacher named Ms. Gray and can't think, Ms. Melvin. Ms. Melvin taught history or geography. Ms. Gray taught history, English or something. Anyway, they asked Smith one time, they asked the class one time, said, what was one of the major contributions the Quakers made? And he raised his hand up and like, yes, Ricky, says they made oatmeal. It's like, what the hell? And then she asked and said one time, said, what was one of the first settlements that the Norwegians make? And he said Norway. He's just like, he was a piece of work. And he was the one guy that I remembered, and I think I said this earlier. I heard all this ruckus in the hallway one time, and I think it was Miss Gray. She had to have been about 80, and she had Ricky by the ear, dragging him down the hallway. So what the hell has he done now? And she had gone to the bathroom, and she came out, and he asked her if everything came out all right or something. Just typical bullshit that Ricky Smith. He was a piece of work. He's one of a kind. I'll never forget Ricky Smith. He was one guy.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's still alive. Lives in down around Hampton somewhere. Anyway, he was the catcher on our baseball team, and they had just had a article about me in the Daily Press and Newport News about me. Hadn't struck out in 81 times, and I was a sophomore, and so we went to play Matthews, and they had this boy. Can't remember his name now, but he ended up playing with Kansas City Royals. But I'll never forget, I'm in the batter's box, and I fouled off the first pitch. The second pitch, he threw me a curve that broke off the table, and I was like, damn, strike two. And Smith's in the back in the backstop, he's going, "You're going down. You're going down." And I was like,
Your own
"Damn,
teammate.
this is my teammate." You're going down. You're going down. I was like, "Damn," And I ended up getting the ground rule double off that guy.
Did he get you at all that
No,
night?
he didn't get me. No, he didn't get me. Nobody ever got me. Not that year. No. I think I batted 92 times that year and never struck out. But Smith was back there that you're going down. You're going down. I was like, "Damn, dude, come on, man."
Damn.
At the same time, David Blake used to always chew tobacco, and I wasn't from the country. I didn't know nothing about no chewing tobacco, and that was the first time I was up that day, and he had me take a big old clod, and put him, and I swallowed it. Now I'm back there puking.
Yeah, damn.
I'm puking before I get up to bat. And that was the same time Smith said, "You're going down, you're going down." Yeah, there's some characters at Middlesex High School. Characters, yeah.
So we talked about politics a little bit, got some stories out of you. What do you think about me joining the Oklahoma Native American Church and doing these sweat lodges?
I think
you said you wanted to come to one, right?
I would love to experience it. I respect you so much for the research you do on certain things that if this is what's going to make you happy, man, I say go for it. I don't know enough about it. I'd love to go down there and do it sometime. Evidently, it must be pretty healing. No, listen, I'm never going to be... You do a lot of research. I was always too stupid to do research.
That's one good thing about the internet,
Yeah.
But you have to have the ability to sift the bullshit from the.
And I guess I don't have the ability for that. I mean,
there's a lot of bullshit in there, man. There's so much.
But I mean, hey, listen, I really think that's pretty cool, to tell you the truth, and I kind of believe it without even researching it, because I think a lot of times your body needs to sweat out the bullshit, because there's a lot of bullshit going on. And so, hey, I was like, go for it. Yeah. I'm going to do it. Eventually, I am going to do it. But
they're out there in South Dakota having a real one right now.
Oh, yeah.
The yearly, they're doing, what do they call it? What does he always say? You come to Sundance. That's what they call it, Sundance out there in South Dakota.
Sundance Festival?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's Sundances all across especially Midwest and West. Not so much here in the East, but that's one of the big ones. Yeah, there's a bunch of tribes. I think he said 8 different tribes come together, and then a bunch of different.
You've met some good people through that too, right?
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. I love Jimmy. He's the medicine man.
See, that's the thing.
Taino, native to Puerto Rico.
You do different stuff, and you try different things, and you get to meet people, and that's what it's about. It's the communication part of it.
You got to be open to communicating.
Yeah,
even
you
do
can't.
That.
Yeah, you got to be. Well, you got to be open-minded to begin with.
Right.
I mean, you can't just. Yeah, I respect you for that. Yeah, I've not always been that way. More so now than ever. But hey, I think the more knowledge you can get and learn about stuff that nobody actually knows a whole lot about, I say go for it.
Right. I think this has been good, man. Did you have anything else you wanted to get off your chest or let the internet know about, give your opinion on, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I just want to agree with what my dad said. I think this whole world's gone to shit.
So
the computer,
pessimistic.
Lawyers and judges, and if you've experienced any of that, let Garnett know. Because I'll be honest with you,
maybe that's the truth.
Real.
I'm not saying it. I'm not even denying that they could
real.
be bringing some aspects of culture and society down. But my point is, the phoenix rises from the ashes, and something more beautiful will come out of that destruction.
I hope you're right, dude. I hope you're right. But to me, I'm like really negative on the negative end of the lawyers, judges, and computers. And I think computers are number one.
Well, I totally agree with you on lawyers and judges, and I think computers have to start working with the regular common folk rather than the lawyers
Well, I
and
just want
judges.
to. I want a side note here. Lawyers and judges. Okay, so my ex-wife, her first lawyer, got me good. Became a judge. Say no more. So there you go. Pop said maybe lawyers and judges aren't the same thing, but in that regard, they were.
But now he changed though. He had to go from a lawyer to a judge.
Yeah.
They're in bed with each other,
He
but they're not
became
exactly the
he
same
was a
thing.
lawyer and became a judge, and I can certainly understand why, because that guy was good. Totally screwed me, but he was good.
Yeah, but the law society in general is all bullshit to me.
Well, there again,
You gotta. I know. We watched it like 10 years ago, but you gotta watch that movie Kymatica again. He talks about like the reason that your birth certificate, your driver's license, all official documentation, your name is in all capital letters. It goes back to an old Roman law called Capitis Diminutia Maxima. It's because the artificial person, Billy Carson, represents the natural person, Billy Carson. And until you...
And he didn't have a friggin' clue what he was doing.
Yeah, well, of course, but not most, I would say 99% of people don't. And yeah, just by appearing in court, you're basically agreeing to...
I didn't appear in court the last time, and that's what really got me.
Well, but
I didn't understand
you've
it.
agreed to too much previously as far as the artificial person.
He called and said Ms. Carson wanted more money, and I was like, no, Ms. Carson, this is what she's getting. I agreed to. And he said, we'll see you in court in a couple of weeks. And I was like, well, I never got any
You got it's recording from that, so you do need to put that up there.
I said I
No,
never
the
got
mic, it's got to be up there.
I never got any notice from the court, so I didn't go. And there again, $500 more a month. So
yeah, there's certainly
was
you
always-
have to be not. They'll just bully you. You have to really know the system in order to be able to defend yourself against it.
But I didn't have a
And
lawyer.
I don't, and I've done a lot of research, and wouldn't feel. I'm still trying to be a good boy because I don't know enough to face it head on quite yet.
Yeah, that's my problem.
But there's another good documentary called Grip. It's about this guy, Rob. He doesn't even go by Rob Paget anymore because he understands how fucked up the system is. Rob Paget is the artificial person, right? Mm. So he only goes by Rob of the Paget family.
See, maybe that's what I should do, Billy of the Carson family.
Well, you got to do a lot more research than just that because it's a lot deeper than that. But the way that law society works, there's like it's all word control. Once you've agreed to certain words, then they've got you hooked because you've made that agreement, and you have to figure out certain ways you have to literally write letters to back out of certain agreements and submit these letters to the correct authorities and et cetera, et cetera. But this guy, Rob of the Paget family, he has reacquired land in Canada as native land, and he's like building tribe. I mean, he's working with one of the native tribes of Canada, and he's gotten land back from the Canadian state. It's not part of Canadian territory anymore. It is land of the earth and owned by nobody but what he calls spirit or God or whatever you want to call that natural force that creates everything, And so the fact that he can do it means other people can do it, So I've been looking into it, but you done?
I gotta pee.
You wrapping this up? You gotta pee. We'll cut an official closing. I'll cut that little part where you're peeing out.
Yeah, do that.
Well, this is awesome, Pops.
I love you, Bo.
Love you too, man.
My heart, bro. And I really appreciate this because I'll be honest with you, I've gotten a lot out of your podcast.
I would do this with anybody. I would do this with Mom, but she don't talk to nobody.
You best not.
I'm saying I would do it with anybody. I think everybody's got a story, and until
everybody's got a story, and it'd be interesting to see you do one with her.
Yeah,
that would be a mind-blowing thing for me.
Well,
but anyway,
yeah.
I love you. I love you, Bo, and I really appreciate you. What you're doing. You're 100%. 100%. Keep listening. You probably want me back on because I am going to be popular after this. Bye now.
We'll see about that. All right, guys. Later.
Do you believe in repenting? What if the kingdom of heaven's within you? Do you think you would enter, huh? What do you know, huh? How do you know truth? From the pit of your soul or just cause somebody told you? Do you think about what you think about? Do you see yourself in the people that you hang around? Keep quiet, let me think aloud. Listen up, wanna break it down and question your perceptions. I'ma break it down and question your perceptions. Do you ever question your perceptions? Do you ever question it? Oh yeah. What if your money was worthless? Then would you know what your worth is and reconsider living with a purpose? How would you determine what work is? Are you seeking what's easy to purchase, or is it deeper than what's on the surface? Do you question your perceptions? Ever so is real, huh? It ain't your politicians, nor your status. All of that is fiction, so it's real, huh? It ain't your entertainment, nor the industry. I heard it's filled with fake shit. And I need truth over everything. Yeah. I need truth above all else. Just I need truth over everything. Yeah, give me the truth, give me the truth, give me the truth, yeah.